A loving father is shot dead in the street.
It's just hard.
The way he died was a tragedy.
Life will never be the same.
Who would have wanted him dead?
This looks like a robbery.
He was into gambling.
But at the core of this case is a shocking conspiracy.
He was set up.
They got carried away.
His blood is on their hands as well.
In a crime as senseless as it is evil.
It did not have to happen this way.
It wasn't fair at all.
It ruined the life of many people.
This story deserves to be told so that it doesn't happen to anybody else.
January 20th, 2024. It's a Saturday night in Norristown, Pennsylvania. A former industrial town of more than 35,000 located just outside Philadelphia.
At one point, it was a thriving community. Currently, it has economic hardship.
It is an area that has had very notable instances of crime.
So it's not surprising when just before 8 p.m., police get notification of a nearby shooting.
They were alerted by a system in their patrol car called ShotSpotter, which senses gunshots and then has the ability to locate and map them.
There were gunshots from the corner of Powell and Wood.
Police quickly race to the scene.
They discover a man on the ground with a gunshot wound to his head.
The victim was identified as a 35-year-old male by the name of Will Carter.
Growing up, Will Carter was a stereotypical younger brother.
He, drove me crazy. He was a pain in the butt.
But he was like funny. I mean, he was like character. He was just full of life.
And there was nothing he wouldn't do for his siblings.
He was always there for the family. That's who he was. Call him, he was there for you.
When Will was a teenager, his life changed unexpectedly once he became a father.
He was 19 when he had his son.
But he wasn't quite ready for the responsibility.
Growing up in the streets, you catch a few, go to jail.
But as he got older, Will pulled his life together.
He became a family man and stayed out of trouble.
He got a steady job in the food services industry.
He ended up getting cussy. It's hard to raise boys, especially in the world today, and he was up for it. He just really wanted to be there for his son.
Will was also looking for love. And in 2017, he found it with Tiara James.
I've seen Will back in the day, like a few times, and I was like, oh my God, he is so cute. So a few years went past, and he hit me up on Facebook, and he was like, hey, I've been looking for you. And I'm like, what you looking for me for? Right there, we connected.
And she quickly fell for Will.
His jokes were so corny, but low-key, he was funny. He had a big heart, very genuine. And his smile alone could, set the whole room off.
Most importantly, Tiara knew Will was someone she could count on.
That was my go-to person. That was just my right-hand man right there.
Before long, the couple moved in together and formed a loving blended family.
Tiara welcomed his son into the home.
My son actually looked at him as a stepfather. There was nothing that he wouldn't do for my son.
Then, in 2022, the couple got exciting news.
I called him and told him I was pregnant. He came with me to the doctor's appointments. He just wanted to be a part of everything.
And when Will learned they were expecting a girl, he was thrilled.
Having a daughter, that's what made him even happier.
He knew, from the rip, we were going to spoil her.
Though Will and Tiara's relationship ultimately ended, They vowed not to let it affect their daughter.
Whatever problems me and Will was having, it really didn't affect how it was going forward. He would still come over. We weren't together, but he was still around. So it was always, when can I come see my baby?
Their little girl was the light of his life.
Them two are like twins. They look alike. They kind of have sort of the same demeanor about them too.
They was just always laughing in their own little zone, like their own world.
She wanted him to walk around in a circle and hold her a certain type of way. He would do it.
Though fully invested in his daughter, Will moved on romantically.
Will started to date a woman named Kay.
And before long, the couple appeared to be taking things to the next level.
They decided to move in together.
But there won't be a happily ever after for Will and Kay.
When the police arrived on scene, Will was on the ground with a gunshot wound to the head.
After first responders declare him dead, a woman rushes out of a nearby house.
The woman is extremely upset.
The woman identifies herself as Tierra James.
She indicated Will is actually her baby's father.
Was this some sort of domestic violence killing?
Although things hadn't worked out between Will Carter and Tierra James, he was still an active father in their one-year-old daughter's life.
He was always there whenever his daughter needed it.
He was an amazing father, and he helped out as often as he could, providing extra support, financial resources.
Will also found happiness again with 30-year-old KML.
It appeared that they were actually getting serious.
They had been living together.
Only now, Will has been gunned down outside of his ex-girlfriend Tierra's home.
It just happens to be on the sidewalk a few doors down from where Tierra actually lives.
And she's on the scene, desperate to help Will.
I said, I gotta go with him to the hospital. One of the police officers kept saying, ma'am, he's gone. I said, what you mean? He said he got shot in the head. He's gone.
While police give Tierra time to collect herself, a detective arrives and begins surveying the scene.
Detectives find 3 9mm casings, and Will did have a pair of car keys on his person, but he had no cash and his cell phone was missing. It kind of immediately jumped off at this is probably a robbery.
Next, officers point the detective in the direction of Tierra.
Thank you, officer. I got it from here. Very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Though still in shock, she agrees to walk him through what happened prior to the shooting.
Will called me this afternoon because he wanted to see our daughter.
He had got off of work early. He said, I'm coming to see her.
Tierra explains that Will stayed for a while and then left to run an errand.
But Will came back a little later to spend more time with his daughter.
She says that shortly after he got back, Will asked her for a favor.
Will was into gambling, and he wanted her to place a sports bet.
He asked her to place a $20 bet, but he only had $17.
I said, this is not all the money. So he said, I'll be right back. I said, don't worry about it. It's not that serious. He was like, no, I'll be back. I'll be back.
At which time he went to the car to get this $3.
Moments later, Tierra heard a popping noise that sounded like gunshots.
My heart dropped. I get up, I look out the window, and I don't see him. So I called his phone 3 times, no answer. I put our daughter in her pack and play, and I started hearing sirens. And I had ran outside and he laying on the ground. And by then, the cops were already there.
But who would have wanted to harm this young father?
As detectives were trying to continue to piece together what happened, they wonder, did he have any problems with people?
Tierra says no, Will is not in the streets at all.
But the detective wants to know more about his gambling.
And they hear that Will was placing a bet. They wonder, did he owe anyone money?
But they find out Will just won a substantial amount of money in a bet.
Did he ever talk to you about how much?
No.
It really wasn't my concern of, oh, did you win? How much? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Like, I didn't need to know all that.
When asked if she had any problems with Will, she denies it.
She says no, everything was fine.
In fact, she claims that things were so good, they were talking about getting back together.
Me and William at that time that this happened was actually trying to work things out for the sake of us and our daughter.
And that's when suddenly Tierra says she's realized who might have done this.
I was asking myself, who could have did this? He didn't have any enemies, none of that. And then it clicked to me.
You have to talk to Kay,
I'm sorry, who?
a girl Will used to mess with.
Tierra explains that not long after she and Will broke up, he and Kay started dating.
From the get-go, this woman made it clear she didn't like Tierra.
She would just try to create like this beef between me and William so that I guess I could stay away from him. She would go as far as to say, oh, well, he told me that baby's not his.
Initially, Tierra says Kay's plan worked.
That kind of caused like friction between me and him. Because it's like, okay, if you dealing with this girl, you know, go ahead and put her in her place. You're here with your daughter.
But in the end, Will made clear where Kay really stood.
He and Kay broke up in July of 2023.
And now, Tierra has a strong instinct Kay may have been involved in Will's murder.
How much I didn't know, but there's something wasn't right about her.
Could Kay's envy have sparked this crime?
You have a jealous ex-girlfriend who sees her ex getting back together with the mother of his child. These kind of situations can be explosive and can lead to murder.
Or was it possible Tierra was spinning a story to protect herself?
She could be making this all up, possibly because of a desire for revenge on Kay, or because Tierra herself has something to do with the crime and was trying to lay blame elsewhere.
But the detective also thinks there could be a much simpler explanation for Will's murder.
When he left, did he have his cell phone on him?
Yeah,
You sure?
I saw it.
Clearly, his phone was taken.
This looks like it could be a robbery.
By the time investigators finish their interview, officers have linked the keys found on Will to a nearby vehicle.
When they look further into that, the car is registered to Kay.
A more thorough search of the car further supports that Will may have been robbed.
There was no money and there was no phone.
But was theft the real motive? Police may have a way to find out.
They noticed a security camera facing that location across the street.
Give me that footage as soon as possible.
The footage is a gold mine.
The entire crime was captured.
Did you know
A detective investigating the murder of 35-year-old Will Carter has located security footage from a camera that points directly toward the crime scene.
The detectives end up pulling the security camera footage.
The entire crime was captured.
Scrolling through the footage, the detective first notes an SUV arriving a little before 8 and parking right behind Will's vehicle.
The SUV turns off the light, but no one exits the car.
Around the same time, Will comes outside.
You can see Will coming from the direction of Tierra's house, carrying his cell phone.
He walks right past the SUV.
Not at any point did he even look, or it seemed like that he was even aware that anyone was in that vehicle.
He opens his car door and it appears as if he's looking for something.
Kind of consistent with this story that Tierra was saying, that he was going to go get $3. He closed the door and turns the direction he came from.
As he passes the SUV, 3 men jump out and rush him.
One was the front seat passenger, and then 2 people from the back of the vehicle.
One of the men pulls out a 9mm handgun, and it appears to have an extended clip.
An extended clip is an attachment for a gun that increases the amount of ammunition that can be fired before reloading.
They pin him against the wall. They go through his pockets.
And this is all happening right underneath the camera.
As the men race away, the assailant with the gun turns back toward Will.
He fires off 3 rounds in rapid succession.
Will is hit in the head and he falls to the ground.
The rounds come out of the gun so fast that the police are sure that an illegal switch had been installed to make the weapon operate like an automatic.
Almost immediately, the 3 assailants jump back into the SUV.
The driver already had headlights on. They were ready to move out as soon as these guys returned.
The video leaves no doubt that Will was the victim of a robbery.
Just looking at the video in itself, it was pretty obvious.
But this doesn't look like a random attack.
The location was very unusual for a random style robbery. You had medical offices, not places where people will be expecting people with money to be showing up in the middle of the night. And this vehicle parks directly behind Will's vehicle, turns the lights off, sits there, and then Will comes back and he's pretty much immediately taken out.
The men essentially laid and waited for him.
This was an intentional hit.
But who had targeted him?
Was this from someone who knew that he had won a bunch of money?
Although it isn't possible to clearly identify anyone in the video, police hope the footage will help them find the suspects.
This video not only shows the crime, but it shows the vehicle they drove off in, shows what they're wearing.
The shooter, you can see he had distinctive warm-up pants, distinctive high-top boots.
And that's a major, major thing for detectives to have.
After enhancing the images, detectives release them to the press.
They're seeking tips. They're trying to find out who committed this crime.
As they were investigating, it's like you want to know. Every day that went past, it's just like, what's going on? You want to pick up the phone and be like, hey, did you find anything else?
Before long,
Homicide.
investigators get an unexpected new lead in the case.
All right.
7 hours after the crime was reported, there was a call that there was an arson not too far away from the scene. There was a car that was set on fire.
And it's an SUV that matches the one in the surveillance video.
While investigating the murder of Will Carter, Norristown police have learned that someone has torched what appears to be the suspect's vehicle a few blocks from the crime scene.
Several hours after the murder, firefighters and police get a call not far from the scene for an SUV on fire.
It's the same model as the SUV seen in the video footage capturing Will Carter's killing.
By the time the detective arrives, the fire is out. But it's clear this was no accident.
This was definitely arson.
The scene smelled of gasoline.
The vehicle's license plate was removed, and the officer who arrived on the scene reported someone running away from the scene in dark clothing.
The vehicle is towed in for processing, and investigators arrange to speak with Will's ex-girlfriend, KML.
They want to see what she might know, or if she could somehow be involved.
Distraught, Kay immediately says that she already heard about Will's passing.
I'm still in shock.
When the detective asks her about the couple's breakup, she says it wasn't what she wanted.
She was like, oh, he is the love of my life, and I can't believe this happened.
So there were no problems between you two?
No, we were very cordial.
In fact, she tells police they were still living together.
And she often lets Will borrow her car.
Kay also admits that she knew Will had recently won a large sum of money.
Yeah, I think he won like $3,000.
But when the detective asks if she had any expectations that he would give her some of his winnings, she says no.
She explains that after their breakup, they were no longer splitting the bills, and Will did not share any of the money with her.
He won $3,000 and didn't share it with you. Did it upset you?
Look, I didn't have anything to do with it, if that's what you're implying.
But she says she may be able to help find who did.
She heard third hand from a friend that a man named Daquan Allen may have been involved.
How did Will and Daquan know each other?
Drugs.
She said Daquan Allen was actually Will's coke dealer.
Maybe Will owed Daquan money and he saw this killing as a way to get it back.
Kay stated that she's been with him on a few occasions when he met up with Allen, but she's not really familiar with Allen.
Police, however, are quite familiar with him.
He's a known dealer in Norristown.
But can investigators tie Daquan to the crime?
There's nothing on the surveillance video that clearly makes Daquan identifiable.
But the SUV might be another story.
The fire actually gutted at the SUV, but one thing that was salvageable was the VIN number.
When the detective types the VIN into a database, he gets a hit.
And it turns out that SUV had been reported stolen.
So he takes things one step further.
They search a database that has records from license plate readers. When you pass by, it grabs a picture of your license plate, can identify the letters and the numbers and even the state tags.
And the vehicle's license plate has recently been captured on camera.
The police get a hit on the license plates 4 days prior to the murder.
When they locate the surveillance footage, it shows a person known to police getting into the passenger side of the vehicle.
And when they track down the passenger, they're able to learn that the vehicle was in possession of 17-year-old Damon Brantley Jr.
Investigators are able to get a search warrant for the apartment Damon shares with his girlfriend.
Detectives head over to their home.
When they speak with his girlfriend, she claims she doesn't know where Damon is.
She said she hadn't seen him since Saturday because she kicked him out after they got into an argument.
But during the search, they uncover incriminating evidence.
They'd find ammunition for a 9mm handgun.
And they find an extended magazine for a 9mm, which was also consistent with what was noticed in the individual's hand in the surveillance video.
After seizing the ammunition and magazine, police return to the station to search for digital evidence that could tie Damon to the crime.
They reviewed the data from Damon's girlfriend's phone along with several other people known to associate with him.
Once they go through the records, they find there was actually a picture of Damon, which puts him in the driver's seat of that SUV, as well as a photo of him holding a 9mm handgun. They also find a text exchange between Damon's girlfriend and another female.
They talk about how they know he was involved in the crime and how they recognized him on the surveillance footage that was on the news.
And there's more bad news for Damon.
Detectives end up getting a call from the school resource officer at Norristown High School.
He recognizes the outfit in the video footage that had been going out in the media.
He tells them he saw Damon hours before the murder at the high school basketball game.
Damon's clothing were consistent with the clothing that the shooter in the video was wearing.
When detectives review surveillance from the high school, it confirms their suspicions.
There's Damon, and he's wearing what appears to be the same clothes as the suspect from the surveillance video.
Detectives are pretty much convinced that Damon is the shooter.
But where is Damon Brantley Jr. now?
Damon, at this point, is nowhere to be found.
But thanks to his call logs, they discover another person of interest.
Around the time of the shooting, Damon, he had numerous calls with 16-year-old Justin Davis.
Later that day, investigators bring Justin in for questioning.
He's a minor, and he is present with his mother.
Under questioning, Justin claims he doesn't know anything about the events of January 20th.
He denies having anything to do with Will's murder.
With nothing but phone calls to potentially link him to the crime, police can't hold him.
So police let him go.
But not 24 hours later, he's back.
The next day, Justin's mom calls police and she says they're gonna come in.
He has something he needs to tell the detectives.
One day after 16-year-old Justin Davis's first interview with Norristown police, his mother contacts investigators.
Apparently, Justin has a little bit more to share.
When she brings him in, he admits he lied to police.
Justin gives a different story than what he gave to detectives prior.
He confessed that he took part in the robbery and murder of Will Carter.
From there, Justin cooperates, helping police to identify the other suspects in the surveillance video from the scene.
That's me. That's Damon.
He confirms that Damon Brantley Jr. is the shooter.
The third man was a 28-year-old male named Jerry Butler.
He says the driver of the vehicle, he only knows him as Day-Day.
Suspecting that Day-Day is Daquan Allen, the detective pulls his picture to show Justin.
He confirms it is Daquan.
Justin also walks the detective through what happened after the shooting.
They immediately drove a few blocks away, and Justin, Jerry, and Daquan all got into another vehicle. Damon was left in possession of the SUV.
Everyone else in the facility.
The next day, he FaceTimed Damon. He noticed that Damon had guns on his face.
When police ask Justin if anyone else was involved in the crime, he reveals something surprising.
Hours before the murder took place, Justin heard Daquan talking to a woman on the phone.
He said it was an owner of the car that they parked behind on the night of the murder.
In which they know belongs to Will's old girlfriend, Kay.
And it was clear Kay wasn't happy with Will.
Kay told Daquan that Will had recently won a bunch of money and didn't give her any.
And it seems Daquan immediately saw this as an opportunity to make some fast cash.
And that's when Daquan suggested that they rob him.
According to Justin, Kay not only didn't object, but also helped Daquan get the job done.
She knew where he was gonna be.
Kay told possible locations where they can find Will.
This was an orchestrated hit.
Justin says after the murder, Kay called Daquan to ask for her share of the money.
He told Kay to find a way into Philly.
Daquan and her did in fact meet up, and that cash was exchanged.
But Daquan told the group that Kay called him again that night. And it seemed like their decision was weighing on her.
Daquan gave her a warning about going to the police, was saying that cooperating with the police would not be in your best interest.
He said that she would actually be held more responsible for the murder.
She was the one that gave them all of the information to find Will.
Though investigators need more to corroborate Kay's involvement, they have enough to issue warrants for the arrests of Justin Davis, Daquan Allen, Damon Brantley Jr., and Jerry Butler.
They are all charged with murder, and Justin Davis is taken into custody on site while the other three remain fugitives.
But with the help of U.S. Marshals, it doesn't take long to locate them.
Law enforcement were able to track the three to a house in Endicott, New York.
And that's where Marshals placed Daquan, Damon, and Jerry under arrest.
They end up taking them into custody.
When they told me that they finally arrested the young men that were involved, the only thing I could do was thank God. It was just like a slight breath of fresh air.
And after pulling Daquan's phone records, investigators are anticipating a fifth arrest.
On Saturday night, just prior to and directly following the murder of Will, there were 14 calls between Daquan and Kay.
It appears Justin was telling the truth.
On February 5th, the detective, now armed with new evidence, questions Kay again.
Confronted with everything, Kay quickly crumbles.
She confesses to setting him up.
But she said it wasn't supposed to happen like this.
We weren't supposed to kill him.
All new.
The fact that Daquan picked two minors to participate in a murder. What type of world do we live in where adult grown men are calling on high school students to be accessories to a hit like this? What more can we do to mentor young Black men? What more can we do to address the gun violence crisis in our country? All of that is a testament to how we as society has to do better.
On February 5th, after Norristown police confront KML with the evidence against her in the murder of Will Carter, she quickly breaks.
She confesses to setting Will up.
But she swears no one was supposed to die.
We weren't supposed to kill him.
It was just supposed to be a robbery.
Kay now admits that her relationship with her ex was far less rosy than she first let on.
Although their breakup was more or less amicable, tensions between her and Will had been building since November.
He stopped helping her with the rent, even though he still continued to live with her.
Kay says her frustration grew after Will won big gambling.
Will showed her the money, but didn't give her any of it.
She wanted to get some level of financial support.
The day of the murder, her frustration boiled over, and she began venting to Daquan Allen.
Will's coke dealer.
Well, no, actually.
Well, it came out that she lied. William was not on coke at all.
In fact, it was Kay who was buying from Daquan.
Daquan was her ecstasy dealer.
And when Kay complained that Will wouldn't give her any of his winnings, Daquan got an idea.
His response was, let's rob him.
She said that she didn't object, but Daquan did all the planning, including recruiting the three other men.
But is Kay trying to downplay her role in the crime?
Police remind her of the 14 calls she made to Daquan.
You sure?
Yes.
Because everything you said, it sounds like you're the one who set him up.
I knew where Will was going to be.
She provided Daquan with Will's location just prior to the robbery.
But she says nothing could have prepared her for the news she received after it was all over.
Daquan told her after the incident that the young men had gotten carried away.
Will had died from a gunshot to the head.
Although despite her shock, Kay still wanted her share of Will's money.
Shortly after she called Daquan and requested that he meet her,
Daquan meets Kay in Philadelphia, and there he hands her $700 cash.
If she was really so broken up over Will, why was she so gung-ho to get his money?
At the end of her interview, Kay is placed under arrest and charged with second-degree murder.
Whether she intended for Will to die or not, she was still a part of what happened to him. When you plan a crime, there's no guarantee what the outcome will be.
News of Kay's arrest is a relief for Will's loved ones.
When they called and told me, I could not stop shaking, I could not stop crying because I knew she had something to do with it.
I was happy because it was like, you set this up, but then you want to try to play this victim role, and you're not a victim.
As the case moves forward, Kay cooperates with investigators.
Prosecutors need her testimony to be able to pin the other suspects involved. And so they strike a deal with her.
She has to testify against the other defendants.
In exchange for her testimony, she pled guilty to third-degree murder.
This took life imprisonment off the table, but her actual sentence, which could still be as steep as 40 years, would not be determined until her testimony was complete.
16-year-old Justin Davis also makes a deal with prosecutors.
He ultimately pled to third-degree murder and conspiracy to commit robbery.
Because he was only 16 at the time of the murder, he will spend time in a juvenile facility until he turns 21.
And then he'll have 5 years probation following that.
On September 11th, 2024, when the trial of Damon, Jerry, and Daquan begins, it's a difficult time for Will's family.
It was very, very hard to have to go through the trial. It felt like it was a game to them, like it was a joke.
In the prosecution's opening statement, they lay out each defendant's role in the crime.
Daquan was actually the brains behind the operation. Jerry was the muscle, and Damon was the actual trigger man.
But they also emphasize that the three defendants are equally responsible under the law.
Even if one did not intend to murder with weapons, the risk trumps intention, and their actions led to the death of 35-year-old Will Carter.
To prove their case, prosecutors have strong circumstantial evidence.
In this case, it all came together, pulling phone records and pulling security camera footage. Then they had the testimony of Justin.
He was able to give a first-person account of what happened on the day of the crime and identify everybody in the video.
But their star witness is Kay.
She lays the foundation for how and why the crime happened.
When asked why she initially lied to police, she claims she didn't want to snitch.
She didn't want anyone to get in trouble.
When it's the defense's turn, they question Kay's credibility.
The defense says maybe Kay is only saying what the prosecution wants her to say to save her own skin.
But who will the jury believe?
When the jury returns, they find all three defendants guilty.
Daquan and Jerry are convicted of second-degree murder, while Damon is convicted of first-degree murder.
When Daquan and Jerry are sentenced on September 19th, 2024, they both receive stiff penalties.
Daquan Allen was sentenced to life in a state correctional facility. Jerry Butler also gets life in prison.
When Damon Brantley Jr. is sentenced, his part in the murder earns him 50 to 100 years behind bars.
And the reason why he did not get a life sentence is because at the time of the incident, he was 17 years of age.
1 month later, when Kay's punishment is handed down, it feels like a slap in the face to Will's loved ones.
In exchange for her testimony, Kay is sentenced to 6 to 15 years.
I feel like she should not see daylight again, because without her, it wouldn't happen. He would still be here to this day.
Today, Will's friends and family still struggle with his loss.
It's just hard for him not to be here with us.
Life will never be the same. My daughter won't be able to experience William Carter, his personality, his laugh, his hugs.
For his son to know that his father lost his life the way that he did, It's playing a major impact on him. I pray for him every day.
But Will's family hopes that some good can come from this senseless crime.
The way he died was a tragedy. He deserves his story to be told so that it doesn't happen to anybody else.
And it's just that it's a wake-up call for us to do better as a society.
Being young and in love can completely consume you.
When you have that puppy love and you're falling for someone, you don't even want to hang up the phone with them.
It's like an escape hatch to excitement.
But sometimes our rose-colored glasses can blind us from the truth. And any red flags start to look like ordinary kites floating in the wind.
She was vulnerable, she was naive. She didn't recognize his behavior as manipulative.
How many warning signs are you willing to ignore for that perfect someone?
This person who presented as a super nice guy has suddenly turned into a monster.
I'm acting on every single word because I don't know what he's capable of.
When it's now or never, will you fall in line or get out before it's too late?
He's frightening her to do exactly what he told her to do.
I'm on the verge of crying. I'm on the verge of freaking out.
He said to her, "When you stab her, I want you to stab her with all your might."
November 23rd, 2003. It's a chilly Sunday in Seattle, Washington.
Everybody knows that Seattle has a lot of months of darkness and rain, but Seattle is gorgeous. It's green all year round. It's a super active place.
There is lots to do. We have the Space Needle, Pike Place Market, which are very common tourist attractions.
As night falls over the Emerald City, a call comes in to dispatch at the Seattle Police Department.
Police receive an urgent phone call from a woman who identifies herself as Martha Jackson.
She was scared. She was worried about her daughter's well-being.
Martha explains that she and her 17-year-old daughter, Kealani Brown, live 3 hours away in Vancouver, Washington. But Kealani had recently taken a bus to Seattle to visit some old friends.
Martha assumed that her daughter was supposed to be with 3 girls during this time in Seattle.
Martha tells police that earlier that evening she received what she initially thought was a call from Kealani.
It's from her cell phone. But it isn't Kealani. It's a man that she has never heard from before.
This wasn't just any regular call.
On the other end, it was a guy saying that Kealani had killed someone.
And she's hoping that it's a hoax, that it's a prank. But by the tone and tenor of this man's voice, she knew this was serious.
The man provided her with an address and then just hung up. Kealani's phone had been going to voicemail ever since.
Police know they need to locate Kealani Brown as soon as possible.
It's like, what's going on? You know, is she in danger? Like, what's happening?
"17-year-old Kealani Brown was forced to grow up at a young age.
She got pregnant when she was 15, and her high school boyfriend didn't stick around.
Bringing a child into the world and you're still a child yourself has to be one of the scariest situations you could ever be faced with. You're still trying to figure your life out, figure out who you are as a teenager.
But by age 17, Kealani was coming into her own as the mother of her beautiful 2-year-old boy and was dreaming of a bright future with her son.
It's very difficult to be a teen mom. But she hadn't given up hope. She had big dreams. She was an amazing singer, and she also was really great at writing lyrics for songs.
I can see how having such passion for music could drive someone and to want to be discovered, to want to have a great life.
And part of that great life would include finding a father figure for her son.
Kealani wanted a partner to raise her child with. She wanted the ideal man for that family unit.
That led her to reaching out to a telephone dating service. This is back in 2003.
If you look at dating now, pretty much everybody has a Tinder account, a Bumble account. But back in 2003, there weren't any of that.
When Kealani connected with 19-year-old Seattle resident DeMar Rome, there were instant sparks.
DeMar was really into music. They would read each other's songs that they had written.
Kealani and DeMar talked for hours on the phone. When you have that puppy love and you're falling for someone, you don't even want to hang up the phone with them.
To Kealani, DeMar seemed like the kind, romantic guy she'd been waiting for.
He lived in downtown, and he invited her there. And not only did he want her there, he wanted her son to come with. And that's a huge thing for a mom, to be not only accepted and loved for you, but to have someone totally accepting your son.
Just after 3 weeks of talking and connecting with DeMar by phone, she decided to take her and her son to go and see him in Seattle.
Kealani knew her mother wouldn't approve of the trip, so she told her she was going to Seattle to visit some girlfriends.
Kealani couldn't wait to finally meet the man of her dreams in person.
But now, 1 week after Kealani left for Seattle, her worried mother is on the phone with police. According to Kealani's mother, she had received a chilling call from Kealani's phone earlier that evening.
There was a male voice on the other end of the phone that she did not recognize, and he said Kealani had just killed someone.
Seattle police immediately raced to the address Martha jotted down from the mysterious male caller. A duplex on the northeast side of town.
Investigators were hoping that this was some type of hoax or misunderstanding, but they needed to act quickly to find out for sure.
So police arrive at the residence and they see two young people leaving, a man and a woman. And the woman matches the description of Kealani.
When confronted by officers, the young woman confirms that her name is Kealani Brown, and the man identifies himself as 19-year-old DeMar Rome.
Kealani did not have her 2-year-old son. She had actually dropped her son off at a relative's house.
They immediately handcuff Kealani because obviously, given the information, they have to take it seriously.
The police officers ask Kealani, "Do you know why we're here?" And she goes, "No." The police officers respond, "Are you sure you don't know why we're here?" And Kealani responds, "I have the right to remain silent, don't I?" So she was very tight-lipped initially.
However, DeMar has an entirely different demeanor.
Immediately, DeMar starts talking.
He says, "Oh, I'm going to tell you everything."
17-year-old Kealani Brown felt like she'd finally found a kind and trustworthy boyfriend in 19-year-old DeMar Rome.
She thought that this was going to be the perfect match made, that she was going to find someone to help her raise her son.
They had this instant connection. She fell head over heels for him.
After just 3 weeks of talking over the phone, Kealani and her 2-year-old son took a bus to Seattle to finally meet DeMar in person.
She has this opportunity. It's like an escape hatch to excitement. And she sees herself being with this man who is fully embracing her.
But now, Kealani is in handcuffs outside a duplex on the northeast side of Seattle, accompanied by DeMar.
Seattle police had just received word that Kealani might have killed someone.
Kealani remains tight-lipped, but DeMar assures police he's ready to tell them everything.
He tells the police officers, "I'm the one that called Kealani's mother." He's very, very helpful, and he's willing to tell them what exactly took place.
With Kealani and DeMar en route to the police station, detectives arrive and begin poring over the duplex.
When they get to the bedroom, it's clear that something sinister has happened. It looks like the room has been stripped bare.
It looks as if someone is in the process of trying to clean.
There was dark stains on the carpet, which appeared to me to be blood stains. There was blood spatter on a wall. There was what looked like knife defects in one of the walls.
So this has turned from what could be a prank to like something terrible has happened in this room.
Following this trail of evidence, police continue to thoroughly inspect the house.
And that's when they begin to find the knives.
There were 2 knives in the trash can. There was one in the backyard of the duplex.
One of the knives particularly had what appeared to be some dark marks, which we believe to be blood.
Despite finding a treasure trove of physical evidence, investigators are still missing the most crucial piece of information.
There is no sign of a body. What happened in this house of horrors? And who did it happen to?
Back at the station, detectives sit down with DeMar first.
DeMar seems so incredibly willing to help them understand what happened.
DeMar tells investigators where they found him and Kehlani was his place of residence. He confirmed that yes, someone was murdered inside the bedroom.
And DeMar reveals that someone was his ex-girlfriend, LaShonda Flynn.
He seems very disappointed at what has transpired. He can't believe what has happened to LaShonda.
17-year-old LaShonda Flynn was a very active young girl with a bright future.
LaShonda was a very special, beautiful, unique young lady.
She's like my pride and joy. I mean, you know, I have others, but she was like my first grandchild.
Like many teenagers her age, LaShonda also had a rebellious side.
She gets sidetracked of her friends and not focus on the schoolwork. She liked to go some days, but some days I had to drag her to school.
By the fall of 2003, LaShonda developed a habit of running away from home.
Now I asked LaShonda, what made you feel that you wanted to do what you're doing, like running away from home? And then she's like, well, I just want to be out there with my friends and such.
It was around this same time that LaShonda met DeMar Rome.
LaShonda found DeMar exciting. He was older and he had his own place. But LaShonda did not tell her mother or grandmother about DeMar. She knew they would not approve of her dating someone older.
DeMar Rome was smooth, and he kind of swept her off of her feet.
So how did LaShonda end up dead? And where is her body now?
According to DeMar, Kehlani killed her out of jealousy.
DeMar explains it all started on the night of November 20th.
So there was me and Kehlani, there was LaShonda, and, you know, we was all drinking.
DeMar said even though him and LaShonda had broken up, they remained friends, and he introduced her to Kehlani.
DeMar tells detectives that the evening seemed to be going fine at first. But things eventually took a dark turn between the two women.
So that very bizarre situation broke out. They were talking about fighting each other. And pretty much what happened was that Kehlani felt that she needed to go to the kitchen and go get herself some knives.
DeMar says at that point, Kehlani chased LaShonda into the bedroom.
And then all of a sudden, they just started swinging at each other with the knife. I had to hold Kehlani back, but LaShonda, she got stabbed 4 times. After After I watched her die, I felt guilty in a way. Yes, I did.
DeMar claims he felt so guilty that 3 days later, he knew he needed to tell someone what happened.
She called Kehlani's mother this evening. I explained the situation to her mom. Her mom called Seattle police.
It's a shocking story. Is DeMar telling detectives the truth?
I don't have time to lie to nobody. If it wasn't for me, you guys wouldn't know anything.
DeMar agrees to then take them to the location of the body.
And once they arrive, the depravity of this crime will become even more apparent.
It was one of the most gruesome things they had ever seen.
It just is heartbreaking, the way that she was treated.
November 23rd, 2003, Seattle, Washington. 19-year-old DeMar Rome has just agreed to take Seattle police to the remains of his ex-girlfriend, 17-year-old LaShonda Flynn.
According to DeMar, his new girlfriend, Kehlani Brown, had stabbed LaShonda in a jealous rage.
As the sun comes up over Seattle, DeMar leads police to Discovery Park, a 500-mile green space in the northwest corner of the city.
They get to Discovery Park, and they walk down this long trail. Then they discover a duffel bag. Inside of the duffel bag are trash bags. But when they open these trash bags, that's when they discover the body of LaShonda Flynn.
They also find ashes, a dirty diaper. They find it's like garbage. It just is heartbreaking, the way that she was treated.
The state of LaShonda's remains horrifies even the most seasoned investigators.
It was one of the most gruesome things they had ever seen. Her body is riddled with stab wounds on her back and neck.
As LaShonda's body is transferred to the medical examiner's office, investigators return DeMar to the police station.
They decide to keep DeMar in custody until they can speak to Kehlani. Before they can take his statement at face value, they wanted to get her side of the story.
But first, investigators have the grim task of notifying LaShonda's family what's happened to her.
It's crazy because I was watching the news that morning, and the story that they had said, it was just like they found a girl, but they didn't really go into detail. So when I got the call, it was like, I just went numb.
My whole face just dropped. I just dropped. I went down to the floor. I said, no.
While LaShonda's family struggles to grapple with the tragic news, detectives sit down with their number one suspect, Kehlani Brown.
DeMar has painted Kehlani as a vicious murderer. But when detectives sit down with Kehlani, she seems visibly shaken.
They tell her, he has pinned this entire thing on you. He said that you committed this crime as a result of jealous rage.
Kehlani appears more and more shocked as she hears what detectives are saying.
Kehlani tells detectives that they have it all wrong.
She just starts telling them everything. She starts telling them her side of the story.
Kehlani explains that when she first arrived in Seattle and met DeMar, everything clicked between them like it had over the phone.
Initially, her first impression of him was that he was very affectionate, that he doted her, that he doted her 2-year-old son.
However, Kehlani says she was surprised to find another young woman living at DeMar's home with him. It was LaShonda Flynn.
He told me that LaShonda was his foster sister, that they had been raised together.
But in the hours that followed, DeMar told Kehlani more about his supposed foster sister.
He had told me how LaShonda is a pathological liar. She's lying about how he raped her, about how he put hands on her and all that stuff.
He's saying, like, she's gonna lie, She's gonna tell you that I'm abusive. She's gonna say all these things, but she's the one that's crazy.
He was like, man, I wish she would just leave. And he was like, the only way that she will leave is if she's dead. Is if I kill her.
Kehlani says at that point, she thought DeMar was just talking a big game.
I didn't take this as seriously as I probably should have. But I said, well, why can't you just, ask her to leave? And he's like, no, because she's going to come back.
During the next few days, Kehlani continued to brush off DeMar's claims and even became close to LaShonda.
LaShonda and Kehlani actually established a really close bond. It was really like one big happy family at a certain point.
However, Kehlani admits that DeMar was starting to make her feel uneasy at times.
DeMar started to become extremely paranoid. There was one night that they had all gone out to eat, and DeMar was convinced that the waitress at the restaurant was trying to kill him.
He made a big scene. He's like, I think we need to go get some protection.
DeMar takes both girls to the store to buy knives, telling them that they need to protect themselves.
Kehlani tells detectives that things became even more strange when DeMar made a shocking admission.
He decides to tell Kehlani that him and LaShonda, who's supposed to be his foster sister, had had sex before.
DeMar began pressuring Kehlani for a threesome.
November 24th, 2003, the morning after her arrest, detectives are speaking with teenage murder suspect Kehlani Brown about her role in the death of 17-year-old LaShonda Flynn.
Kehlani's boyfriend, DeMar Rome, claims that Kehlani killed LaShonda out of jealousy, since LaShonda was his ex-girlfriend.
But now, in speaking with Kehlani, investigators realize that there may be more to this twisted story.
Kehlani claims when she first arrived in Seattle, DeMar said that LaShonda was only his annoying foster sister. He even made odd comments. The only way to get LaShonda to leave him alone was to kill her.
Regardless, Kehlani liked LaShonda and the two became friends. But it soon became clear that DeMar hadn't been entirely honest with her about their relationship.
DeMar admitted that him and LaShonda had previously had sex.
It was a shocking admission, but at the time, Kehlani just brushed it off.
Because from my understanding, this was his foster sister, so there's like no really blood relations, which that made sense to me. They told me that they had sex one time. And so, okay, that's in the past.
However, Kehlani eventually learned that DeMar's sexual relationship with LaShonda wasn't just a thing of the past.
He essentially began to use sex to pit the two girls against each other.
He would have sex with Kehlani in one room and make sure the door to LaShonda's room was open so she could hear it. He would do the same thing with LaShonda and make sure Kehlani's door was open so she could hear that.
And DeMar was at a point where he was trying to get Kehlani to agree to have threesomes with himself and LaShonda.
He asked how I felt about that. I said, that's not really my thing. That's not something that I'm really into.
But DeMar continued to be persistent.
So it's the night of November the 20th. DeMar and Kehlani are laying in bed in a room with LaShonda in a separate room. He tells Kehlani we should get up and go see what LaShonda is up to.
He's talking about a threesome type thing. And I said, I don't feel comfortable with it. He was like, just go in the room, tell her to take off all her clothes. He was like, you don't have to do anything, just tell her to take off all her clothes.
Kehlani says at this point, she was tired of resisting DeMar's requests and decided to placate him.
So I'm like, okay, now you're really weird, but okay, So I go in there, and I told LaShonda, DeMar said they got my clothes. I don't know what's going on.
And to Kehlani's surprise, LaShonda followed his orders.
When DeMar entered the room, he instructed Kehlani to tie LaShonda's hands behind her back with a rope.
So she was cool with that, so I did that. And he told me to put the shirt over her head. And I was just kind of like shocked, like, okay, what's going on?
LaShonda agreed to this under the guise that there was going to be some surprise. And she even kept asking, where's the surprise? Where's the surprise?
From there, Kehlani says the night took a sinister turn that neither she nor LaShonda saw coming.
Like, came to the side of the bed on this side, and he stabbed her in her lower back. And I'm basically just in shock. My son is asleep in the next room.
LaShonda asked, why are you doing this to me?
And then DeMar stabs her 3 more times.
Kehlani said at this point she was terrified of DeMar. She thought that he would kill her too.
I'm trying to figure out what to do, what am I supposed to do. He said, you're going to help me clean up.
She felt powerless. She did not feel like she had another choice.
I thought I was going to throw up.
November 24th, 2003, Seattle, Washington. Homicide detectives are sitting down with 17-year-old Kehlani Brown, who is giving a chilling statement about the brutal murder of LaShonda Flynn.
According to Kehlani, after she observed DeMar murder LaShonda in front of her eyes in cold blood, stabbing her 4 times, he looked to her and said, "You're going to help me get rid of the body."
He said, you're going to help me clean up. He told me that if I ever say anything, that my family would be in danger, that I would not be living. I thought I was going to throw up.
She felt powerless. She did not feel like she had another choice, so she helped him.
The duo wrapped LaShonda's body in blankets and stuffed her into a duffel bag. They then did their best to clean the blood from the room.
He said everything in the room has to go. And so I'm listening and I'm acting on every single word because I don't know what he's capable of.
According to Kehlani, DeMar then made her call a cab.
He told me to call the cab and use my name. He said she's going to discovery park. And there's a clip and she's blowing off the clip.
Once the cab arrived, they loaded the duffel bag with the body into the trunk of the cab.
Her son was in a taxi cab as well. As they drove to Discovery Park,
After they arrived at their destination and unloaded the duffel bag, they began dragging it through the park toward the cliffs.
Kehlani's son was with them the whole time.
And then after a while of dragging it, I'm just like, I'm trying to reason with him, like, I'm just call police. And he's like, no, she's going off the cliff. So then I'm emotionally starting to lose it. And I'm on the verge of crying and I'm on the beach and freaking out. And I don't think he wants to need to make a scene.
At that point, Kehlani says DeMar initiated a change of plans.
He's like, drag her into all those bushes over there. As far as you can. He said, I'm gonna keep watch. And I'm just like tripping. I'm like, I cannot believe you're telling me to do this. And so, but I did it.
Kehlani says after that, the couple went back to DeMar's home. And in the days following the crime, she begged DeMar to let her and her son go to her aunt's house, who lived nearby in Seattle.
It's like, you're not going anywhere. And so finally he was like, you're fine, your son can go.
Why did you leave with her?
Why didn't I leave with her? Because I was really scared that he was gonna find me.
so the detectives have 2 different stories. Kehlani, who says DeMar did it, and DeMar, who says Kehlani did it.
Who's telling the truth? Investigators are conflicted, but something about DeMar just doesn't sit right with them.
His style of communication was challenging to follow, to say the least. It was almost bizarre the way he jumped around. The language, the words he used.
He seemed to want to control the room as if he was the smartest person in the room.
And when detectives dig deeper into Damar's background, they uncover even more red flags.
He had been arrested multiple times for a few crimes, including assault.
Damar's habit of dating underage girls is another cause for concern.
Kehlani and LaShonda were both 17 years old. At 19 years old, Damar was the only adult in this situation.
Damar had first met LaShonda when she was only 16.
He met her while she was at a bus stop crying.
I believe that he volunteered a persona, that he was strong, that he would protect her.
It went from this, seemingly great guy to suddenly he's treating her horribly. She has to walk behind him when they're walking. She can't sit next to him by the bus. I mean, he's just treating her like a second-class citizen.
She was vulnerable. She was naive. Damar knew that, and he preyed on her.
Detectives suspect Damar enlisted the same tactics to connect with Kehlani Brown.
If over and over again someone has occurrences with young, impressionable teenage girls, that shows me predatory behavior.
Police decide to charge Damar with first-degree murder. And although they believe Kehlani is telling the more truthful account of what happened, she must also be held accountable for her part in the crime.
So we allowed her to plead guilty to a reduced charge of manslaughter in the first degree on the conditions that A, everything she told us was truthful, and B, that she would provide truthful sworn testimony against Damar at trial.
Her sentence would then be 8 years.
Kehlani agrees to the plea deal, but in the days leading up to trial, something unheard of happens.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, Kehlani has requested a meeting with the prosecutors to discuss something.
Her lawyer looked at Kehlani and said, "Okay, Kehlani, tell him." And she looked at me and she said, "Mr. Barber, I stabbed LaShonda."
In the winter of 2003, Seattle investigators are preparing for the murder trial of 19-year-old Damar Roan, who is accused of stabbing his ex-girlfriend, LaShonda Flynn, to death inside his apartment.
As far as the prosecution was concerned, this was pretty much a slam dunk case.
However, just before the trial is set to start, the prosecution's star witness, Kehlani Brown, requests an emergency meeting with prosecutors.
I went up to the jail where Kehlani was housed, and she said, "Can I talk to my lawyer for a minute?" And I went, "Oh boy, okay." So I left the room for about 5 minutes. I came back. Her lawyer looked at Kehlani and said, "Okay, Kehlani, tell him." And she looked at me and she said, "Mr. Barber, I stabbed LaShonda." It was a complete shock.
Kehlani explains that in the days leading up to the murder, Damar convinced her that LaShonda was dangerous.
Damar had told Kehlani that LaShonda was going to threaten to kill them, and that she actually needed to kill LaShonda in order for them to be safe.
Seeing that she did see him as loving to her. She didn't know any better. She didn't recognize his behavior as manipulative.
On the night of November 20th, Damar insisted it was now or never.
Kehlani says Damar comes up with a plan for Kehlani to seduce LaShonda.
She described where, he had told Kehlani to go into LaShonda's bedroom, tell LaShonda it's time for the threesome, convince LaShonda to strip down, to be blindfolded, and to be tied up, and she did so.
Damar then entered the room, handed Kehlani the knife, and told her it was time.
DeMar had said to her, when you stab her, I want you to stab her with all your might.
DeMar cheered her on. He was loving it.
All the while, LaShonda is basically begging for her life, and DeMar is mocking her, and it seems like DeMar is getting pleasure out of this whole scene between these two vulnerable girls.
Prosecutor Hugh Barber can't believe what he's just heard.
I was livid. I was angry. And I told her that her plea deal to the manslaughter in the first degree was going to be revoked, and that she had just confessed to murder to a prosecuting attorney.
Now, instead of manslaughter charges and 8 years behind bars, she's looking at 18 years for second-degree murder.
She entered a plea to the increased charge of murder in the second degree with a deadly weapon enhancement. We offered DeMar the same thing. He rejected it, so we were forced to go to trial.
DeMar Rome's trial begins on the morning of February 28th, 2006.
DeMar is insisting on representing himself.
I guess we're always surprised when a defendant decides to represent themselves. It's usually a very bad decision. But knowing DeMar, it doesn't surprise me of him. Like I mentioned before, he's the smartest guy in the room. Just ask him.
DeMar sticks to his story that Kehlani murdered LaShonda out of jealousy, and that he never coerced her into anything.
The whole time, he is painting himself as a victim, that it was Kehlani all along, that he was just a part of her plan, and she wanted revenge against his ex.
But when it's their turn, the prosecution explains why they believe the crime had been DeMar's sick fantasy all along.
He wanted the ultimate domination over two vulnerable girls, and that's really what it comes down to.
Although Kehlani committed the crime, he encouraged Kehlani to do it.
Was there ever a motive for him to want LaShonda dead?
No, I mean, not in the traditional sense of, robbery or rape or revenge or anything like that. I think he was just a puppeteer, and he wanted to see how far he could make Kehlani go. And I think he sat back and watched the fruits of his labor gleefully.
When the jury retires to deliberate, it takes them just 5 hours to return with a verdict.
DeMar, he is found guilty of first-degree murder, and he is sentenced to 31 years behind bars.
To me, I feel he needs that and more.
DeMar Rome, earliest possible release date could be in 2035. That's in 12 years. I know how fast 12 years goes by. I'm not comfortable with that.
For her cooperation with the investigation, Kehlani is sentenced to 10 years in prison.
The judge gave her an exceptional sentence below the standard range because the judge found that she was manipulated, she was vulnerable.
To me, I feel she didn't get enough because she did it. So I feel she should have got much as he got.
It's frustrating. I mean, to this day now, I'm still pissed off about it, but, what could be done? My daughter, she's not here. It's impacted us a lot.
Kehlani Brown was released from prison in 2013 at the age of 27. But her life has been forever altered by crossing paths with DeMar Rome all those years ago.
Both LaShonda Flynn and Kehlani Brown were victims of DeMar Rome.
They were both manipulated. They were both given probably fairy tale stories of love.
At a young age, you should be doing things you want to do, not worried about going out with this guy or this guy. But if you do your research, because I promise you, they could say one thing but turn out to be another.
Trust your gut, use your instinct, and when something doesn't feel
Let the rhythm be the wave that we ride. One more step, let the night
neon dream shining bright in the light. Everybody moving, dancing wild and free. This funky groove got you and me.